Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam, ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, inshallah. This video is a bit of a different video. You know, as Muslims, we are a nation of clarity. Yeah, we see things, or we should see things for how they are. We definitely have the tools to, and those tools being the Quran and the Sunnah. The thing is, though, how we learn, how we access the knowledge behind the Quran and the Sunnah, how we get into more depth, how we apply. There's different things that are involved in gaining that. There's different things that are involved in getting the best out of that. Your access to resources, the work you put in, access to people of knowledge or institutions where knowledge is, libraries, etc. So many different things, right? But definitely in Scotland, there's just not as much as I would like there to be. There's definitely... there's not much. I definitely don't want to sort of downgrade my community, because there are many people who are doing great things to try and make Scotland a better place and try and make knowledge more accessible and things like that. But I have to be honest in saying that there aren't many teachers. We don't have access to many teachers, unfortunately. And even myself, I found myself struggling with not having a teacher. Alhamdulillah, we are in a day and age where we can access books and we can access lectures online. You know, we do our best with what we have, inshallah. Allah knows best. But when you are sort of guiding yourself through your studies, there's only really so far you can go before you start to lack in some way, are confused about which direction you should go in or what step you should take next, etc. And that, I guess, is the role of a teacher that me and I'm sure many others in Scotland and around the UK or even in the West, it's something that we yearn for, who has already been there, done that, who has the experience, who knows the best books to read or the order in which to read certain books. Like that sort of guidance and structure can really do amazing things for those who, inshallah, really genuinely want to grow and learn in the religion. That's probably the longest intro I've created, but I feel like it's really, really important to give context, because I don't want anything in this video to be underestimated, okay? Like I said, today is a different video. It is a book review, and I have never done a book review before. So I had to do a little bit of research on how to go about a book review. I'm pretty sure it's going to be far from perfect. So inshallah, you can see past that and sort of focus on the objective of this video, which is to share something that I read recently that is nothing short of fantastic. And I really say that with sincerity. And I'm getting a wee bit emotional. I really need to chill because this is the start of the video. Inshallah, I'm going to get into all the reasons why so that you understand the place that I'm coming from, because it will make more sense then. But let's get into the book. Let's introduce the book. First of all, the book is called The Believer's Handbook for Seeking Knowledge, and it's from the author Muhammad ibn James Sutton, who I'm pretty sure many people will be familiar with. If you're not, you really need to. Inshallah, may Allah reward the Shaykh for his hard work and for sharing that hard work so that we may benefit. Inshallah. From my knowledge, he has done extensive studies overseas and he is now residing in the USA. He has a YouTube channel under the name of Muhammad James Sutton, and he also regularly features on the channel Institute Academy. But we're going to start off by looking at the cover and the title of the book, inshallah. I thought the cover was very nice, very appropriate for the audience that he is aiming this towards, because the books in the picture are from renowned scholars. I also wanted to talk about the title of the book, because for me that was one of the main things that stood out, to be honest. And maybe I'm overthinking it, but for me the title was very telling. So what do I mean? I'm talking about the fact that it says the Believer's Handbook and not just the Muslim's Handbook. For anybody who's studied the topic of Islam, Iman and Ihsan, might understand where I'm going with this. There is many ayat, there is many ahadith that sort of make a distinction between the Muslim and the believer. For example, if we go to the Quran, Allah Subhanahu Wa Ta'ala says, Allah is the wali of those who believe. He brings them out from darkness into the light. And if we look at a hadith, for example, there's the one that states that none of you truly believe until you want for your brother what you want for yourself. And again, we can see this in the Quran when it says, the Bedouins say, we believe. Say, you believe not, but you only say, we have surrendered in Islam, for faith has not yet entered your heart. Now, I'm only scraping the surface, obviously. This needs a little bit more in-depth study, the context behind the ayat to fully understand. But in summary, a Muslim is someone who recognises Allah and who submits. But sometimes it takes us time to develop that iman, that belief in our hearts. So the reason why I think the title was intentional, that use of the word believer was intentional, is aimed towards people who are looking to back up their belief with action. And definitely this book is a sort of roadmap and guide towards doing that. There are 224 pages in the book and 16 chapters. So the book definitely is not a big book, but that is not a reflection of the amount of wisdom. I say wisdom, but I could use many names. I'll say wisdom, knowledge, guidance. Just the amount of content is more than what it looks. Trust me. Like the spectrum of theology and practicality was fantastic. It was really great. I'll actually use the word impressive. I was really taken aback. I've read a few books on seeking knowledge or being a student of knowledge, and they have always been great. There's a lot to learn from them. There's a lot of wisdom that goes behind it, and practical steps on how to be your best in that. However, this book had similar structure, but it just kept building. When I received this book, I was actually reading another book on a topic area that I'm really trying to look into before Ramadan comes. And it wasn't really what I expected it to be. I actually felt a wee bit let down by it. I'm still committed to reading it, but it was becoming really difficult to read. So I felt like I needed to take a break. So I thought I would read the introduction to this book just to sort of refocus and recenter, and then I was going to go back to that. That did not happen. I could not put this book down. And I'm not just saying this. Like I said before, there are many institutions in the West that are really trying, but some of us fall through the gaps. Like sometimes I feel like because I'm in a country that doesn't have much, because I'm a sister as well, I do feel like a lot of the time I'm not able to access things that other people are. And that's life, right? Alhamdulillah. Sometimes that you go through these periods where you can sort of get a wee bit down about it, you know. And I do feel like this book picked up my mood in that regard. It gave me a wee bit of hope. The layout was very cohesive, very logical and easy to read. It really had this beautiful but very strong, structured build to it. Like, I'm going to say gradual, but it was, yeah. It is really fantastic. It's spectacular. This isn't a fangirl situation because I don't do that. My reaction is gratitude and appreciation for someone sharing that knowledge. So now I want to go through some of the chapters. Like I said, there's 16 chapters. Starts off with what's very common, I think, in seeking knowledge books and student of knowledge books, and that is the virtue of seeking knowledge in the Quran, the virtue of seeking knowledge in the Sunnah, and the characteristics of a student of knowledge and the manners of a student of knowledge. These are titles that you'll see, but my gosh, the amount of knowledge within just these four really... it was really impressive. It really got into every nook and cranny. It really got into every corner of these subjects. He thought of everything, and that's what I kept thinking the more I read, was like, oh my days, he thought of that, and that is such a good point, and that is an area that I haven't thought about that maybe I need to work on, that maybe will help this other area. It really tied, or it really connected the dots. And if you are really looking for real, logical, realistic, practical, like a blueprint to seeking knowledge, this is the book for you. Even if you're not at that stage yet, I would still advise you to buy it and read it, because I think one of the things that stood out to me, that I kept thinking as I was going through it, was like, if I had known, But if I had read this many years ago, I'd probably be more advanced than what I am. Because I feel like, again, when you are a person who doesn't really have the opportunity to sit with people of knowledge or who doesn't have a teacher, you don't really know what you're capable of. And unless you sort of hear it and see it, or you're just a really amazing person in general who has natural self-discipline and very natural will and urges to excel generally, like if you have that as a personality. But some people don't have that. Some people haven't been sort of nurtured in that way. So sometimes it just takes people saying, we have done that and we have achieved it, or look at what these people are doing and what they're achieving, like you're very capable of that. These things that seem really small are huge. And I feel like that's definitely what I got for this book as well, is that like the sky's the limit, that sometimes the limits we have are the ones that we put on ourselves. I'll get into some of the chapters that I really enjoyed reading in the book. Number 1 is chapter 5, the 5 elements. I really thought this was fantastic because this really focused on the sort of study skills and the study mentality and what that looks like in action, and just a lot of really great advice on how to go about it, really. And I think that's another topic area that is missed out from a lot of books. You hear a lot of people, including myself, coming online and saying you need to seek knowledge, you need to do it, you need to increase. But some people don't know how to start. Some people don't know what to do when they sort of get or reach a plateau, or like some people don't know how to push themselves. Some people haven't studied academically, and I would even say that studying academically is not really or does not always suit the way we study as Muslims and as students of knowledge. So there was a lot of great insight in that chapter. So I would definitely say that's one of my favourites. The second is most definitely the learning Arabic language section. What I really liked about this is it spoke about the many different phases that you go through and what you should do at each phase to solidify what you've learned, to better it, to be able to use your Arabic in order to better understand your religion. And this is why we should be learning Arabic. This should be the number 1 thing that we should be learning if we are non-native speakers. We really need to have an understanding of our religion so we can implement it and practice it to the best of our abilities. So the Arabic section is fantastic. It touches on 9 phases of your learning Arabic journey, and I will be reading over that chapter, I'm sure, many a times. Another one that I really liked as well was memorising the Quran. Really, really helpful. If I was to summarise all chapters, and what I loved about them was the practical steps, the books to read, the books to memorise, the books to just study, and all the different many sciences and topic areas. It was just fantastic. I'm definitely not going to do this book justice, let me just say. You won't know until you know. And the only way to know is to purchase the book, inshallah. And also, I just want to make mention that he finished off the book beautifully by giving us an insight into the lives of people who we should look up to, who should motivate us, who should inspire us, who should put us in check a wee bit, which I thought was a really nice way to conclude the book. I recognise after I finished recording, after I put all my equipment away, that I didn't include a feedback section. Now, I'm going to be honest, I feel silly even trying to attempt a feedback section because if the video hasn't shown already, I really appreciate and enjoyed this book very much. I think if there was anything that I would include just for the sake of the book review structure, it would be nice to have like a section aimed towards females. Some people might not like it, and I can assure you throughout the book the Shaykh does refer to both the brothers and the sisters. So it's not that, this is a book for brothers or anything, because it definitely didn't reflect that. But I think what I'm getting towards is just there's not much talk about female scholars or female student of knowledge or just sort of more personal advice. I understand why brothers might not want to touch on that subject for many reasons. One of them being maybe they just don't know because they're brothers and that's not their circles, But if you have that sort of community, if you have the contacts and things like that, and you have something that might be helpful, that might be inspiring, that might motivate the sisters to do better, because we really, really need to have better connections with our religion and with knowledge as well. It would be that I would love to see something more personalised in that regard. But really, that's the only thing that I can say at this stage. The last couple of things I would like to say about the book, and very important things, so don't click off yet. Other things I think that are important to mention about the book is that it references the Quran and the Sunnah throughout. It even references scholarly commentary, Arabic poetry, to really give you a full picture of the advice he's given, why he's given it, where the logic is coming from. It's not just him and his opinions. He's backing it up with experience and research and knowledge of his religion. It was really great. And also it was very transparent in those referencing as well. For example, if he was to say, if he was to reference a hadith that was Hassan, he would say that it was Hassan, but he would sort of consolidate why he was using it and why it was relevant. Like, I get a lot of questions about seeking knowledge and goal setting and how to achieve those goals, and I feel like those same questions were answered in this book in a way that just can't compare. I was sort of inclined to say it's the salt, the Salt Bae guy, he puts the salt on the steak, but it's the other way around. I would say that the salt is on the plate and this book was the steak on the salt. I don't know if that's a really weird example, but inshallah it gives you a sort of visual of the point that I'm trying to make. The author said that this was, I don't know if he's used the word first edition, but he did say that he hasn't finished this book. This is just, the first book he's done of it, but he's looking to increase and to build. I would really love to see what that looked like, because this book in itself sort of exceeded my expectations by far. That might come across as patronising and insulting, but it's really not meant to be. I just really appreciate how relevant this work is in my life right now. And I think that's why. It also did it with a really formal yet casual, friendly way. Like, it was almost like you were getting this information from a friend, golden nuggets of information, but in a very friendly and sort of brotherly way, probably would be best to put it. A very brotherly sort of approach to communicating. There was a good few times I chuckled, let me just put it that way. So I think sometimes with books like these, people can be intimidated or they anticipate that the book will be boring, but it wasn't. It was a great read. Inshallah, it will be a book that I constantly go back to, so I'm looking forward to that. Bravo. So I'm going to put all the details on where you can purchase the book. May Allah make it so that we are able to benefit from other people's hard work. And may it allow us to work harder so that other people may benefit. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfiruk wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.